Susan Atkins said she committed the murders with 3 other people. They were part of a hippie commune led by one charismatic man.
She kept calling him this cat, you know, not pussycat, but this cat. And then finally, one day, she did say to me, his name, she said, Manson. And she says, dig on this, man's son.
And that was the first big break in the case.
Everyone has cameras and recorders set.
Los Angeles Police Chief Edward Davis announced the first break since the bloody slaying of actress Sharon Tate and 4 others last August.
From that point on, all of the resources of law enforcement focused in on the Manson family.
Warrants have been issued for 3 persons, said the chief, adding they also were involved in the murder of a grocer and his wife the day after the Tate killing.
First time I saw Manson, I remember it was about 50 yards away, and I see this little guy. He's about 5 feet 2 inches tall. Scruffy, kind of hunchback, slight, a beard, not a very imposing figure. But I had already read about him that he had control over these people, and I realized it would be the biggest mistake I could make to underestimate him.
When we come back, how Charlie Manson got pretty young women to kill for him. In December of 1969, Charles Manson and his followers made their first appearance before the TV cameras. It was America's worst nightmare come true. It looked like the girl next door had run off with the devil.
The named suspects lived at the Spawn Movie Ranch.
The chief's account opened a window on the strange world of hippie-type communal living, and the police tell of bizarre behavior such as wandering around nude. But still, there is no hint of motive, no explanation for the Benedict Canyon bloodbath.
I think people looked at this scruffy band of hippies and thought, how could these people be responsible for all those things? They hardly looked like they could, fix breakfast, much less kill so gruesomely. They say the 60s died on August 9th, 1969. If that's right, the killer was Charles Manson. Let's go to Manson. Who is Manson?
Manson himself, if you were to ask him, may not know who he is. He's a very complex individual. By his own admission, he said, I'm a man of 1,000 faces.
I come from the hills of Kentucky. I come from hard times, bologna for Sunday dinner. I come from the Depression.
Manson was born in November 1934, Cincinnati, Ohio. He didn't know who his father was. On the birth certificate, his name is No Name Maddox.
His mother was an 18-year-old prostitute. She eventually took the last name of a boyfriend and gave No Name Maddox the moniker that's now infamous.
She lived with a succession of men. She ran around a lot, drank kind of heavily, was not a dutiful mother under any stretch of the imagination. She'd drop them off at a neighbor's home for a couple hours, and then she'd disappear for a couple days or a couple weeks.
At age 12, Manson ran away from home and headlong into a life of crime.
The first crime we're aware he committed, he burglarized a grocery store at the age of 12, committed armed robbery at the age of 13.
You got a juvenile, you lock him up in juvenile hall, he don't know anything. He's got no parents. He's got nobody telling him the truth. Everybody's lying to him. So the only thing he can do is run away. So that's all I did. I ran away. And every time I ran away, they just got me and put me in a harder place to get away.
When he was released from Terminal Island, March of 1967, he was 32 years of age. 17 out of those 32 years, over half of his life, had been spent in jails, reformatories, and prisons. That's where he lived. That was his home.
I mean, he learned the system. It was almost a negative system that he learned. While the rest of us were going to high school and graduating, getting jobs, his role models were convicts. By 1967, Manson was ready for some fresh air. Upon release, he traded his prison blues for beads and sandals and went straight to San Francisco's Haight-Ashbury district, the beating heart of the hippie movement. There, during the Summer of Love, the ex-con was reborn as a hippie.
This was like a paradise to him. He had his guitar, and he was playing music and his own compositions, and the kids just kind of gravitated around him. They looked up to him. He's very bright, very bright. He speaks very well. And he said things that appealed to them, things that resonated with them. He spoke about the war in Vietnam.
And a lot of the kids never met anybody that told them the truth. They never had anybody that was truthful to them, you know. They never had anybody that wouldn't lie or snake on them or play on fake games.
They felt they could learn a lot from him. He was older than they were, brighter, and before you know it, he has this family.
His so-called power, which it only lies in his happiness. Yeah. That's what attracts people, is he's completely happy.
Tell me about the family. What was it like there? What was living like there?
When I first joined, it was just hippie heaven. It was just a lot of young kids banding together, having fun. It was very idealistic.
Catherine Scher joined the Manson family in 1968.
Who is Charlie Manson? He's your brother, and he's your father, and he's your little boy. He's all men.
That year, they settled down at Spawn's Movie Ranch, a faux cowboy town that Hollywood once used to shoot westerns.
The cowboy town was probably right along here, all the way to the end there.
Today, the facades are long gone, but the landscape is stunning.
It was a dream come true at first, you know. It was everything that I thought I ever wanted, you know, to live out in the country, in the mountains, and be free, and have horses, and brothers and sisters.
Catherine fits the profile of the young people who followed Charlie Manson.
You can see, you can see, you can see.
She was orphaned at the age of 3. When she met the Manson family, it felt like home.
Well, when I first met him, the man talked to me and he says, why don't you come up, and the rules are that, you know, there is no rules. You just look at it and just be beautiful with it, and it's just beautiful to you.
It was the Garden of Eden, laced with LSD and group sex. And every night, the family would gather round the campfire as Charlie strummed and sang.
Your home is where you're happy. It's not where you're not free.